Hey guys, this channel brings reviews of smartphones and gadgets from your favorite YouTubers. So if you are interested for more videos, make sure to subscribe this channel.
So simply put, that's about it for this really simple phone. For some people, it's kind of forgettable, but for others, it's exactly what we were waiting for this new Pixel. It's doubled down on everything the 3A had going for it and lowered the price. And so for this price, the lack of wireless charging or IP rating or glass and metal and stereo speakers and extra cameras really isn't a deal breaker. In fact, it's expected. The simple plastic build is expected. The 60Hz screen is fine. The biggest upside is still the camera, and the biggest downside is still the performance. It's really just the only difference now is the existence of much more competition in this space with phones like OnePlus Nord and iPhone SE. Now, technically this phone undercuts them both in price, which is gonna matter to a lot of people. $350 is an insane price for the amount of phone you're getting here and all these features, but each one of these phones is gonna have its own distinct advantages. iPhone and Nord are gonna be better performers. iPhone's gonna take better video, but you get more Google features here, better stills camera, so it's what you want. I just really love that it feels like Google's getting a little more competitive with this Pixel phone, getting that lower price to undercut the competitors to give you a reason to buy it. It's great. I just hope this translates into them making a true high-end Pixel 5 flagship. Now, I don't know if that's smart to get my hopes up for that, considering their track record's not very good for flagships, but that's what I'm hoping this competitiveness translates into. But we'll see if that happens. Either way, that's been it. Pixel 4a, pretty simple. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
See, I've got a sneaking suspicion that the Pixel 4a was built for a $399 price point. That's the price their last one came out. But to compensate for this delay, the fact that we now already have two brilliant options for this price, and the fact that Google can now probably produce this phone for cheaper because the parts in it are older, they've decided to undercut. The Pixel 4a is actually not going to be $399, but in fact $349. And that makes this very easy for me, because all of a sudden the question isn't, is this the best $400 phone, which would be a really complicated question because it has so many strengths and weaknesses versus the Nord and the iPhone. The question instead becomes, can I get away with spending $50 less? And the answer to that question is absolutely. The Pixel 4a is very comparable to the best $400 phones out there, and the fact that it's $50 cheaper just means that if you're considering it, I can say very confidently, go for it. Plus, if you're into this, it comes with YouTube Premium, 100 GB of cloud storage, and Google Play Pass, which is Google's answer to Apple Arcade, all for 3 months. I guess with the hope that you'll pay to carry on those subscriptions, but obviously you don't need to. Alright, so thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a sub would be incredible. My name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'll catch you in the next one.
So look, I know that basic is an insult. It means that it's common, that it's everyday, but you know what? In your life, you need to have some simple things that are consistent and reliable. Look, what I'm saying is I would be very happy with this phone. And I don't know why anybody would buy a Pixel 4 when this phone exists. And as for the upcoming Pixel 4a 5G for $500, meh. I don't care that much about 5G yet, and we don't know what other changes are coming to it officially. And as for the upcoming Pixel 5, honestly, all I can say is I really hope that Google changes up its flagship phone strategy this year. But wherever the Pixel 5 lands, it's going to be in a different market than this phone, because the Pixel 4a is for the sub $400 market. Here is another word that gets used as an insult: cheap. The Pixel 4a is cheap in terms of cost, but other than being a little, I don't know, plasticky, it doesn't feel cheap. Now, it's not as fast as an iPhone SE, and it probably won't last as many years as an iPhone SE will, but it costs less, and it has a really nice version of Android on it if you want Android. Look, at this price point, you just can't have it all. I've talked about that with the Samsung Galaxy A51. John just talked about it with the OnePlus Nord. Companies have to pick where their priorities are. And Google picked the camera, and then for everything else, it just made sure that it hit a baseline level of quality. This phone is basic, but a lot of phones in this price range don't even get the basics right. The Pixel 4a does. Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching. Speaking of cheap, Hear that? There's a bird out there. I can't stop it. I bought a squirt gun. Didn't work. I'm just doing my best. Please subscribe.
The experience is seamless, the camera is pretty seamless, but you're probably wondering how performance is on the Pixel 4a. And just like the Pixel 3a, it was actually pretty rock solid. Now, the Pixel 4a is running the Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G. It's definitely not a high-end chip. It's not the Snapdragon 865 that's gonna process 2 gigapixels per second or have 5G. It doesn't have any of that stuff. If you want that stuff, there are a ton of high-end Android phones available that have that stuff. But honestly, I couldn't really tell the difference between a Snapdragon 865 phone and the Pixel 4a. And a ton of that is just because of how well optimized Pixel UI is. I mean, I used the LG Velvet for a while, which has the 765G, which is a higher end chip, and that phone lagged like crazy, but that's because LG really hasn't optimized their UI in a really, really long time. Where on the contrary, Google is working on Pixel UI all the time. And you know, while the Pixel 4a might not have the highest end specs available on the market, Google didn't really slouch with the rest of the specs that they crammed into this phone. It's got 6 gigabytes of RAM, which is really nice to see since the Pixel 3a and 3 only had 4 and they were kicking apps out of memory. And it's actually got 128 gigabytes of storage, which is kind of strange because the Pixel 4 started at 64 gigabytes of storage, so you're getting more storage in a $350 phone than you are in an $800 phone. It's kind of weird, but I'm here for it. And lastly, you're probably not gonna have a great experience on your phone unless you have good battery life. And I'm glad to report that the Pixel 4a easily got a full day's worth of battery life. Now, that's for a number of reasons. One, the Snapdragon 730G doesn't use nearly as much power as a chip like the Snapdragon 865, and the battery in the Pixel 4a is actually bigger than the Pixel 4. It's 3,140 milliamp hours, while the Pixel 4 only had 2,800. So that's weird too, but I'm really glad that they put a bigger battery in this phone as well. Now in my day-to-day use, I got about 6.5 to 7 hours of screen on time, which easily lasted me an entire day. And I honestly think that for most people, it will last them longer than that because I use my phone probably too often due to this job that I have right now. Now, of course, there are a couple of things that I do wish the Pixel 4a had that it doesn't have. It doesn't have wireless charging, which kind of sucks because you're gonna get that in something like the iPhone SE, which is about the same price. It doesn't have an IP water resistance rating, which also kind of sucks because, well, you can probably take this out in the rain or the mist. You don't wanna get it soaked and you definitely don't wanna drop it in a tub or something. But you know what? It does have a headphone jack, and it has a better Android experience than pretty much any other Android phone that you can find right now. And I think that's worth more than the sum of its parts. All right guys, that's been about it. This is the Pixel 4a review. Thank you for staying tuned, and make sure you check out my full review over on AndroidAuthority.com. I've got a lot more information over there, also a lot more photo samples if you want to check those out, and comparisons versus phones like the iPhone SE and the OnePlus Nord. So head over there. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next video.